we all have a certain level of influence in the world. And some of us don't care about it that much. We maybe don't want influence. We want to stay off the headlines. Other people, we dream of being a Hollywood star, having all the Instagram followers or whatever it might be. Maybe it's even something a little bit more localized, like the car we drive or the house we own or whatever it is. But we have a level of influence with those around us. Today we want to talk about that, how to have healthy level of influence, and even how it's appropriate for us to seek influence. It's a good thing for us to seek influence. I think sometimes even in the church we think of that as a negative thing, but if we're doing it for the right reasons, it can actually be something positive that we should seek out. So we're going to talk about that today.
I think too, one of the things is to even define what influence means. I think a lot of times influence is associated with status or having certain things, but the reality is influence is making a difference.
Yes.
It's making an impact. And I think what we're talking about is influence in people's lives of those around us. Like you can influence some random person by saving their life from, a bus that's barreling down the road. Like, yes, you influence their life, but I think what we're talking about is the people we have relationships with and we do life with, and how do we then impact their life for good.
Yeah, and I think those even can be related things, because the bigger, influence we have because we're more well known or we have some of those status things, that can open the door for us to have an influence in people's lives. But are we using it for good? Are we using it to make ourselves feel good? Are we using it to help other people? Do we seek that influence for our gain, or are we seeking it for other people's gain? And I think, the proper reason to have influence is to help other people. And there are some people that have a huge influence and they're using it for good versus using it for, getting more stuff for me or, improving my life, whatever it might be.
Well, and I think too, sometimes we can fall into the trap of going back to our social media example, that I don't have as many followers as you, so I must not have as much influence, or I don't get as many likes as you, so I must not have people that care about what I'm posting or all the things. But the reality is that no matter what platform you have, you can influence and you can impact. And even if it's just one person, what we say, how we say it, the way we care for people, the way we show up for people, all of that can influence somebody's life, and it can influence them for good or it can influence them for not so good. If you show up in a negative way, if you say things that aren't super supportive, if you cast a vision that isn't one of loving and supporting others, then you aren't going to have as much influence. And I think with social media, it's easy to fall into the trap of, well, I don't have as big of a platform, so I can't influence as much, or I'm not going to make a difference. And I'm not that crazy influencer that has 1 million followers and, has all these paid, advertisements and all the things. But the reality is that we are each given a different platform and a different purpose to fulfill. And so I'm not maybe supposed to be the person with 1 million followers, and that's okay.
Yeah, and as we look at the influence we have, having influence so that we can impact other people in a positive way and make a difference in the world. I mean, it goes back to the core of who we are, why we are here, why God created us in the first place, is to love Him and love other people. We're supposed to make a difference in the world in a positive way. And so for some of us, I think it'd be good to take a step back and look at, how are we using the influence we have, and are we using it for the right things? Are we seeking more for the right reasons? For other people, I might want to say to you that you should seek more influence. Some people I know, they don't want to to be in the limelight. Maybe you're an introvert, maybe not, but you just kind of want to live your life and enjoy life, and you feel like, I don't want to rock the boat. But it's good to make a difference, and it doesn't have to be huge. You don't need to seek to have all these followers or a grand following, but who are 3 people in your life that you can make a difference with? Who are your coworkers that as you show up for them, as you stay late for them, or help them out and don't seek recognition for yourself? Or who's your family that you can care for, the neighbor to help when they got sick, or whatever it might be? How are you seeking influence to help people to make a difference in this world versus just kind of sheltering yourself and staying hidden?
And I think too, the reality is, as one person, you can make a difference. I read a quote recently and I was just trying to think of it, and I'm going to totally butcher it, but it was basically talking about if we're each a flame, you can ignite another flame, which ignites another flame. And eventually you have this huge roaring fire, and it starts with one flame. And so you have to start. And so I think that would be a challenge that we have for you guys, is to think about what is your influence and what are you doing with it? And if you're not doing anything, we'd encourage you guys to comment below on maybe something you're gonna start or maybe something you're already doing. We would love to hear from you because I think together collectively we can help each other start that spark and light that fire and make a difference wherever you're at. So make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned because we've got more things coming. Have a great week, everybody.